Ma'am, this place isn't for
isn't
people
for
like
people like
you,
you.
Kyle Brennan said, blocking Jasmine's path with a smug smile. The public course is down the road. This is Oakwood Hills, for the elite. Jasmine tightened her grip on her golf bag strap, her gaze calm but unyielding. I'm exactly where I need to be. I have every right to be here just like anyone else. Kyle chuckled, arrogance dripping from his voice. Rights? Around here, rights aren't bought with money. They're inherited through bloodlines and skin color. The surrounding eyes turned toward her, sharp whispers cutting through the air like blades. Jasmine drew in a steady breath, her eyes lifting to the gleaming Oakwood Hills sign on the wall. She didn't respond. She didn't need to, because what was about to happen would change this place forever. The morning mist clings to Oakwood Hills like a shroud of unspoken promises, each droplet carrying the weight of 1,000 untold stories. Jasmine Carter stands at the entrance, her weathered hands gripping a simple canvas golf bag, the same one she carried as a caddy here 22 years ago, its faded logo barely visible beneath layers of memories and determination. The clock tower chimes 6:30 a.m., its bronze bells echoing across manicured fairways that stretch like green velvet toward horizons most people never reach. Golden hour at Georgia's most exclusive golf resort, where membership costs more than most people's annual salary and the waiting list stretches longer than the championship course itself. Where legacy matters more than merit, and the right last name opens doors that talent alone never could. Jasmine breathes in the familiar scent of freshly cut Bermuda grass mixed with morning dew, tinged with the faintest hint of privilege that money can't quite mask. Nothing has changed, yet everything has. She chose this morning deliberately, with the precision of someone who has learned that timing is everything in business and revenge. Thursday, light traffic, skeleton crew, the perfect time to observe without the theatrical performance that money usually demands. Her outfit, a faded Auburn University polo she bought at Goodwill, khaki shorts from Target, tennis shoes with grass stains that tell their own story of early mornings and borrowed dreams, makes her look like someone's forgotten aunt rather than the woman whose signature dried on the acquisition papers 72 hours ago. The pro shop glows with artificial warmth against the natural chill, its windows reflecting a world that has always been better at keeping people out than welcoming them in. Jasmine pushes through the heavy glass door, her reflection fragmenting across its surface like a premonition of the shattered assumptions waiting inside. Inside, Kyle Brennan adjusts his perfectly pressed uniform, each crease sharp enough to cut, his name tag gleaming like a badge of authority he hasn't earned but inherited through the simple accident of fitting the right profile. 28 years old, Hampton University graduate, 3 years at Oakwood Hills. His personnel file sits in Jasmine's briefcase back at the hotel, but she wants to see the man, not the resume. Good morning, Jasmine says, her voice carrying the soft cadence of small-town Alabama, deliberately unpolished, each syllable calculated to trigger assumptions she's counting on. Beautiful day for golf. Kyle's assessment takes 3 seconds. The sweep of his eyes catalogs every discount store detail, every absence of luxury, every sign that she doesn't belong in his carefully curated world. His smile, the one reserved for service staff and lost tourists, appears with practiced efficiency, never reaching his eyes. Can I help you? The question carries weight beyond its words. Not, how can I help you? Or, welcome to Oakwood Hills. Just the bare minimum acknowledgement that she exists. I'd like to book a tee time, just 9 holes. His fingers hover over the computer keyboard without touching it. Are you a member? Not yet. Hoping to check out the course first. The smile tightens, becoming something predatory. I'm sorry, but we're completely booked today. Perhaps you'd be more comfortable at Pine Creek Municipal? It's about 15 minutes down Highway 20. Very accessible. The pause before accessible lands like a slap. I don't mind waiting for a cancellation, Jasmine says calmly. Or I could join another group if they have space. That's not how it works here. Kyle's tone shifts, patience evaporating. Oakwood Hills maintains certain standards. We can't just accommodate walk-ins. At that moment, the back door opens and Rosa Martinez enters, carrying her morning starter clipboard. The 60-year-old woman has worked these grounds for 3 decades, her weathered face telling stories of early mornings and quiet observations. She stops when she sees the scene unfolding, her experienced eyes immediately understanding the dynamic. Kyle doesn't acknowledge Rosa's presence, too focused on his performance of gatekeeping. Look, I don't know what you're trying to prove here, but this isn't the place for it. The public course has ladies' mornings on Thursdays. They even offer discounts. I can pay full price, Jasmine says quietly. It's not about money. Then what's it about? Kyle leans forward, lowering his voice to a whisper that cuts sharper than any shout. It's about belonging. And people like you? You don't belong here. You never have and you never will. This club was built by a certain class of people. For a certain class of people. We have traditions, standards, a way of doing things that goes back generations. He pauses, savoring the moment. So why don't you save us both the embarrassment and leave before I call security? Rosa's clipboard hits the counter with a sharp crack. Kyle, she says, her voice tight with controlled anger. That's enough. Rosa, I've got this under control, Kyle says dismissively, not even turning to look at her. Just another confused visitor who needs directions to the municipal course. That's not what I'm seeing, Rosa says firmly, stepping closer. Her accent thickens with emotion, years of biting her tongue finally breaking through. What I'm seeing is you treating a guest with disrespect. That's not how we do things here. Kyle finally turns to face her, irritation flashing across his features. With all due respect, Rosa, you handle tea times. I handle membership inquiries and guest services. And I'm telling you, this woman doesn't have a reservation, doesn't have a membership, and frankly, doesn't meet our standards. Your standards? Rosa's eyebrows rise. Or the club's standards? Because I've been here 30 years, and I've never seen rudeness listed as a requirement for employment. The tension crackles between them. Jasmine watches this exchange with growing interest, seeing in Rosa something she hoped still existed here, a conscience that hasn't been completely eroded by institutional prejudice. People like me, Jasmine repeats, her voice cutting through their argument. Could you be more specific, Mr. Brennan? Kyle's chest puffs out. Do I need to spell it out? This is a private club. We cater to a certain clientele. Successful people. People who've earned their place through generations of membership. Not. He gestures vaguely at her entire existence. Whatever this is? That's it, Rosa says, reaching for the phone. I'm calling Mr. Hayes. Don't bother him with this, Kyle snaps. I said I have it under control. You have nothing under control, Rosa shoots back, already dialing. Thomas? Yes, it's Rosa. I need you in the pro shop immediately. We have a situation. Kyle rolls his eyes. Really, Rosa? You're going to waste the CEO's time with this? He's going to back me up. He knows how we operate here. That's exactly what I'm afraid of, Rosa mutters. Within minutes, Thomas Hayes appears in the doorway. The CEO of Oakwood Hills, for the past decade, his face usually composed in boardroom perfection, shows irritation at being called away from his morning routine. His salt and pepper hair is perfectly styled, his polo shirt bearing the Oakwood Hills crest embroidered in gold thread. Rosa, what's so urgent that... He stops mid-sentence when he sees Jasmine, his expression shifting through several emotions before settling on something resembling panic. Mrs. Carter, I didn't expect you until this afternoon. The pro shop falls silent. Even the distant sound of golf carts seems to pause. Kyle's face cycles through confusion, recognition, and finally terror, a masterclass in the 5 stages of grief compressed into seconds. Mrs. Carter, Thomas continues, slightly out of breath, his usual corporate composure shattered. I trust your journey from Atlanta was comfortable. The acquisition team said you wanted to observe operations firsthand, but I assumed... You assumed I'd announce myself? Jasmine finishes, her voice carrying the weight of every assumption ever made about her. Wear designer clothes, play the part of new ownership. She turns to Kyle, whose complexion has shifted from confident bronze to ashen gray. But I wanted to see the real Oakwood Hills, the one my employees experience, the one guests experience when they don't look the part. Kyle's mouth opens and closes soundlessly, a fish drowning in the air of his own making. 72 hours ago, Jasmine continues, her voice carrying quiet authority, Carter Hospitality Group completed its acquisition of Oakwood Hills Golf Resort, making me, as you so eloquently put it, one of those people who don't belong here. Rosa's hand flies to her mouth, her eyes widening with recognition. Little Jazzy? She whispers, using a nickname Jasmine hasn't heard in 2 decades. Is that really you? Jasmine turns to the older woman, her expression softening slightly. Hello, Rosa. Still starting at dawn, I see. My God, Rosa breathes, tears forming in her eyes. We wondered what happened to you. When you left so suddenly, some of us worried that I'd learned my place. Jasmine's smile is sharp. No, I left to build something, and now I'm back to rebuild this. Thomas clears his throat, sweat beading on his forehead despite the cool morning air. Mrs. Carter, I can explain. Kyle is normally very professional. This is completely out of character. Is it? Jasmine interrupts, her gaze never leaving Kyle's terrified face. Because his personnel file suggests otherwise. 3 formal complaints in the past 2 years, all from guests who didn't fit the profile, all mysteriously dismissed as misunderstandings. She turns to Thomas. You knew. You've known for years that this culture existed, and you did nothing. Thomas's face crumbles. He opens his mouth to defend himself, then closes it, realizing there's no defense for complicity. Kyle finally finds his voice. I didn't... You don't understand. I was just following... Following what? Jasmine's interruption is sharp but not cruel, surgical in its precision. Following policy? Or following prejudice that's been so normalized here that you thought it was policy? Rosa steps forward, her voice trembling but determined. Mrs. Carter, Jasmine, I need to say something. I've watched this happen for 30 years. Not just with Kyle, but with others before him. I spoke up when I could, but I was told to mind my own business, that I was just the morning starter, that these weren't my decisions to make. Tears streamed down her weathered face. I'm sorry. I should have done more. I should have fought harder. Jasmine studies Rosa for a long moment, seeing in her face the genuine remorse that Kyle's expression lacks. Rosa, you're the only one here who tried. That matters. She turns back to Kyle, who has shrunk into himself, all bravado evaporated. Effective immediately, Mr. Brennan. Your employment is terminated. Please collect your personal items and surrender your keys. Kyle sways slightly, gripping the counter. You can't. There are procedures. I have rights. You had responsibilities, Jasmine corrects. To treat every guest with dignity. You failed. Repeatedly. She pulls out her phone, activating the voice recorder. I have our entire conversation recorded. Your exact words were, people like you don't belong here. Would you like me to play it? The blood drains from Kyle's face entirely. You have 30 minutes, Jasmine continues. Security will escort you to collect your belongings. This is wrongful termination. Kyle's desperation transforms into anger. I'll sue. You set me up. You set yourself up, Jasmine says quietly. Every time you looked at someone and decided they didn't belong. Every time you let prejudice guide your actions. This isn't entrapment. This is consequences. Thomas finally finds his voice, though it lacks its usual commanding tone. "Mrs. Carter, perhaps we should discuss this privately." "There's nothing private about discrimination," Jasmine cuts him off. "It happens in the open, in front of witnesses, and gets swept under expensive carpets." She turns to face him fully. "Which brings us to you, Mr. Hayes. Your resignation letter should be on my desk by 5 o'clock today." Thomas's face goes pale. "But I've built my career here. 20 years of looking the other way," Jasmine says. "A fish rots from the head, and you've been CEO while this culture festered. You knew about the complaints. You knew about the standards that were really just coded discrimination, and you did nothing." I tried to maintain balance," Thomas stammers. "The board, the members, they have expectations." "Then they can find a new CEO who shares those expectations," Jasmine says. "I'm not interested in maintaining balance between dignity and discrimination. There is no balance there." Rosa, who has been watching this unfold with a mixture of satisfaction and sorrow, speaks up softly. "Jazzy, Mrs. Carter, what happens now?" "What?" Jasmine's expression softens when she looks at Rosa. "Now we rebuild, starting with you, Rosa. Will you help me? I need someone who knows this place, who's seen everything, who still has the courage to speak up when it matters." Rosa straightens, dignity flooding her weathered features. "It would be my honor, and about time someone asked." "Good," Jasmine says. "Your first task is to help me identify every employee who's been marginalized, passed over for promotion, or pushed out because they didn't fit the profile. We're going to right those wrongs." Kyle, who has been gathering his courage for one last protest, finally explodes. "This is reverse discrimination. You're firing me because I'm white. I'll take this to every news outlet, You're fired because you're discriminatory," Jasmine interrupts, her voice cold as winter. "Your race has nothing to do with it. Your actions have everything to do with it. And please do contact the media. I have recordings, documentation, and 30 years of Rosa's testimony about the culture you helped perpetuate." Kyle's bluster deflates like a punctured tire. He looks around the pro shop as if seeing it for the first time, or perhaps the last time. Without another word, he turns and walks toward the back office to collect his things, his shoulders slumped in defeat. The silence that follows is profound. Through the windows, the morning sun continues to rise over pristine fairways, indifferent to the revolution unfolding in the pro shop. "Mrs. Carter," Thomas says quietly, all pretense of authority gone. "I genuinely didn't realize. I knew there were issues, but I thought—" "You thought as long as the bottom line was healthy, the culture didn't matter," Jasmine finishes. "That's the problem, Mr. Hayes. You saw the symptoms and chose to treat them as acceptable side effects rather than the disease they were." Thomas nods slowly, accepting his fate. "I'll have my resignation on your desk by 3 o'clock. I won't make you wait until 5. As Thomas walks away, his footsteps echoing on the marble floors, Rosa moves closer to Jasmine. "What you did just now, it took courage." "It took wealth," Jasmine corrects gently. "If I were still that young caddy, if I hadn't spent 22 years building an empire specifically so I could come back here and do this, Kyle would still be behind that counter turning away people who don't belong." "But you did come back," Rosa says. "That's what matters." Jasmine looks around the pro shop, the same marble floors, the same displays, the same physical space where she was once made to feel invisible. "I came back because places like this don't change on their own. They change when people who've been hurt by them gain enough power to rebuild them." "What happens next?" Rosa asks. "Next?" Jasmine's smile is genuine for the first time that morning. "Next, we close Oakwood Hills for 72 hours. Every remaining employee undergoes mandatory diversity and inclusion training. We review every policy, every procedure, every unwritten rule that's been used to keep people out. And we create something new, something that honors the beauty of this course while rejecting the ugliness of its culture." Rosa's eyes widen. "A complete closure? The members will—" The members will understand that excellence includes treating every human being with dignity, Jasmine says firmly, or they'll find another club that aligns with their values. I'm not in the business of providing safe spaces for bigotry. Through the windows, they can see Kyle emerging from the building, a cardboard box in his arms, his head down as he walks toward the parking lot. Security, called by Thomas before he left, flanks him at a respectful distance. Do you think he'll learn anything from this? Rosa asks, watching him go. Maybe, Jasmine says. People can change, but they rarely change without consequences. Kyle spent years believing his prejudices were justified, even professional. Now he knows they're not. Whether that knowledge becomes wisdom is up to him. Rosa nods, then asks quietly, "What about me? I stayed silent for so long. I told myself I was powerless, but maybe I was just scared." Jasmine turns to face her fully. "Rosa, you spoke up today. You called Thomas. You challenged Kyle. You did what you could with the power you had. That's not the same as those who had power and chose not to use it." "Still," Rosa says, her voice thick with emotion, "I wish I'd done more for you all those years ago. I saw how they treated you. I saw the schedule changes, the way they'd forget to assign you to the high-tipping members. I saw it all, and I just kept my head down. And now you're lifting it up," Jasmine says gently. "That's what matters. Not the past we can't change, but the future we can build together." Rosa wipes her eyes, nodding. "Where do we start?" "We start by walking this course together," Jasmine says, picking up her golf bag. "You show me what's changed in 22 years, and I'll show you what's about to change in the next 72 hours. The 72 hours of closure feel like 72 days compressed into a crucible of transformation. Jasmine doesn't just close Oakwood Hills. She dissects it, examines every piece, and rebuilds it from the foundation up. In the conference room that once hosted board meetings where her younger self was never allowed to enter, Jasmine spreads out years of documentation. Rosa sits beside her, helping to decode decades of institutional discrimination hidden in bureaucratic language. "Look at this," Rosa says, pointing to a memo from 5 years ago. "The membership committee used codes. NSF meant not suitable fit. It appears on 47 applications over 3 years. Jasmine scans the list of names, seeing patterns emerge. "Let me guess. NSF appears most frequently on applications from people of color, women without male co-applicants, and anyone with a last name that sounds too ethnic." "Exactly," Rosa confirms, her voice heavy. "And here's the worst part. Thomas signed off on every single one." The evidence mounts higher. A spreadsheet tracking employee performance that mysteriously weights subjective criteria like cultural fit and traditional values more heavily than objective measures like customer satisfaction and efficiency. Email chains discussing how to maintain standards without explicitly mentioning race. Promotion records showing a clear pattern of advancement for some and stagnation for others. "This isn't just casual prejudice," Jasmine says, her jaw tight. "This is systematic exclusion, documented and deliberate." "What are you going to do with all this?" Rosa asks. "Use it," Jasmine says simply. "To make sure this never happens again. To reach out to every person who was rejected or marginalized. And to ensure that if anyone tries to recreate this culture, they'll find themselves swimming against a very strong current." The training Jasmine brings in isn't gentle corporate theater. She hires Dr. Patricia Williams, a renowned diversity consultant who doesn't believe in coddling discomfort. For 3 days, the remaining staff undergoes intensive sessions that force them to confront their own biases, examine their complicity in discrimination, and understand the real-world impact of their actions. Some employees thrive, grateful for the chance to finally work in alignment with their values. They share their own stories of times they wanted to speak up but didn't, of guests they watched being turned away, of the cognitive dissonance of working in a beautiful place with an ugly soul. Others resist, clinging to phrases like, "This is just how things have always been done," and we're losing our identity. These find themselves with a choice. Embrace the new Oakwood Hills or find employment elsewhere. Several choose elsewhere. On the second day, Jasmine and Rosa stand on the 18th green, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of gold and crimson. I keep thinking about Kyle, Rosa admits. I know what he did was wrong, but I can't help wondering if we could have reached him differently. Jasmine considers this. Maybe, but reaching people who don't want to change isn't my responsibility. Creating a place where their prejudices can't thrive is. Have you thought about what happens when we reopen? Rosa asks. The members, the ones who liked things the way they were, they won't go quietly. Let them be loud, Jasmine says. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. The louder they complain about equality, the more they reveal about themselves. Rosa smiles slightly. You've thought this through. For 22 years, Jasmine confirms. Ever since the day I walked away from here swearing that if I ever got the chance, I'd come back and make things right. Not just for me, but for everyone who comes after. On the third day, Jasmine makes a decision that surprises even Rosa. She drafts a letter to Kyle Brennan, outlining a path forward. If he completes a certified diversity education program and volunteers 100 hours teaching golf to underprivileged kids, she'll consider writing him a reference, an honest one that acknowledges both his failures and his potential for growth. Why? Rosa asks when Jasmine shows her the letter. After everything he said to you? Because cancellation without the possibility of redemption just creates bitter people who learn nothing, Jasmine explains. He needs to face consequences, and he is. But he also needs to understand why those consequences exist and what he can do to become better. That's more grace than he showed you, Rosa observes. Grace isn't something we extend because people deserve it, Jasmine says. It's something we extend because we choose to be better than the systems that hurt us. Rosa is quiet for a moment, then says, You know, when you worked here before, I used to watch you study during your breaks, business textbooks, strategy manuals. I wondered what you were planning. I was planning this, Jasmine says simply. Maybe not specifically, but I knew I wanted to build something that couldn't be taken away from me. Something that would give me the power to create spaces where people like us, people who've been told we don't belong, can finally belong. Did you ever imagine it would be here? Rosa asks. That you'd come back to the exact place that rejected you? Every single day, Jasmine admits. This place lived in my head rent-free for 2 decades. Every business deal I closed, every hotel I opened, every negotiation I won, part of me was thinking about this moment, about walking back through those doors with the power to change everything. Is it what you thought it would be? Jasmine considers the question. It's better. Because I'm not doing it alone. I have you. And soon, we'll have a whole team of people who believe in what we're building. Rosa reaches over and squeezes Jasmine's hand. Little Jazzy grew up to buy the whole course. No, Jasmine corrects gently. Little Jazzy grew up to give the course back to everyone who was ever told they couldn't play here. The morning Oakwood Hills reopens. The air feels different. The same Georgia sunshine, the same perfectly manicured fairways, but the energy has transformed. It's subtle. The way staff members meet each other's eyes with genuine respect, the absence of code words and knowing looks, the sense that the walls themselves have exhaled after decades of holding their breath. Jasmine arrives at dawn, as she did that first morning 72 hours ago. But this time, she's not pretending to be anyone other than who she is. She wears a tailored golf outfit, expensive but understated, her power coming from presence rather than labels. Rosa is already there, clipboard in hand, but her posture is different, straighter, more confident. Ready for your first day as the visible owner? She asks with a smile. I've been ready for 22 years, Jasmine replies. The first guests of the new era arrive at 7 sub of a.m., the Johnson family, Robert and Angela Johnson, both doctors, with their 2 teenage sons. They're black, and they're nervous despite their reservation, despite the money in their bank account, despite every right they have to be here. Rosa greets them warmly. "Welcome to Oakwood Hills. We're honored to have you." Angela Johnson's eyes scan the pro shop, looking for the trap, the unspoken message that they're not really welcome. When she doesn't find it, her shoulders relax slightly. "Thank you. We've heard things have changed here." "They have," Rosa confirms, "for the better." Jasmine emerges from her office, reading the Johnson family's tension immediately. She's seen that look before, in mirrors, in her own eyes, the perpetual vigilance that comes from never being sure if you belong. "I'm Jasmine Carter," she introduces herself, extending her hand. "I own Oakwood Hills now. Mind if I join you for a few holes?" Robert Johnson studies her carefully. "We'd be honored. I have to ask, why did you buy this place? Given its history?" They walk toward the first tee, morning dew still clinging to the grass. Jasmine considers her answer carefully. "Because the best revenge isn't avoiding the places that hurt us," she says finally. "It's transforming them into places that heal. 22 years ago, I worked here as a caddy. They made it very clear I didn't belong. So I left, built an empire, and came back to make sure no one else has to feel that way." "Did it work?" asks Marcus, the younger Johnson's son. "The revenge part?" Jasmine smiles. "The revenge was just the catalyst. The real victory is this, you standing on this first tee, not having to wonder if you're wanted here. That's what I came back to build." They play 9 holes together, conversation flowing as easily as their golf swings. The Johnsons share their own stories of exclusion, of clubs that found creative ways to say "not you" without using those words. Jasmine listens, validates, and shares her vision for Oakwood Hills as a model for what inclusive excellence looks like. On the 7th hole, they encounter Thomas Hayes. He's not playing golf. Technically, he no longer has that privilege as a resigned CEO. He's there to clear out his office, but he pauses when he sees Jasmine's group. His face is haggard, aged years in just days. "Mrs. Carter?" he acknowledges stiffly. "Mr. Hayes?" Jasmine responds neutrally. "Collecting your things?" "Yes. I'll be out of your way shortly." He pauses, seeming to struggle with something. "I owe you an apology. A real one, not the corporate kind. What I allowed to happen here. What I ignored. There's no excuse for it." "No, there isn't," Jasmine agrees. She doesn't make it easy for him, doesn't offer absolution he hasn't earned. Thomas nods, accepting this. "For what it's worth, I'm glad you're here. This place needed someone with the courage to burn it down and rebuild it." "I didn't burn it down," Jasmine corrects. "I just removed the rot. The foundation was always sound. Beautiful course, great location, talented staff. It just needed leadership that valued people more than prejudice." Thomas looks at the Johnson family, really seeing them perhaps for the first time. "I hope you'll give Oakwood Hills a chance. It's not the place it was." "We're here, aren't we?" Robert Johnson says. "That's our chance." After Thomas leaves, Angela Johnson turns to Jasmine. "That took strength, not forgiving him easily." "Forgiveness is personal," Jasmine says, "but accountability is necessary. He can earn forgiveness through changed behavior, not through words." They finish their round, and as the Johnsons prepare to leave, Marcus approaches Jasmine shyly. "Mrs. Carter, would it be okay if I applied for the junior caddy program? I love golf, and I want to learn the business side too." Jasmine's eyes mist slightly. She sees herself in this young man's eager face. "Marcus, I would be honored to have you in our program. In fact, how would you feel about me mentoring you? Teaching you not just about golf, but about building something that matters?" Marcus's grin could power the entire resort. "Really? That would be amazing!" After the Johnsons leave, Rosa finds Jasmine standing on the 18th green, looking out over the course. "That was beautiful," Rosa says softly. "Seeing them here, comfortable and welcome." "It's just the beginning," Jasmine replies. "One family doesn't erase decades of exclusion, but it's a start." "What about Kyle?" Rosa asks. "Have you heard anything?" "He enrolled in the diversity program," Jasmine says. "Whether he completes it remains to be seen. But at least he's trying." Rosa nods, then says, "You know what the best part of all this is? Not the revenge on Kyle or the satisfaction of firing Thomas. It's seeing young Marcus's face when you offered to mentor him. It's knowing that he won't have to fight the battles you fought, won't have to carry the weight you carried." "That's the point," Jasmine says. "Not revenge, evolution. Creating a world where kids like Marcus don't have to become me, don't have to build empires just to earn basic dignity." As the sun climbs higher, more guests arrive. Some are new, drawn by the reputation of change. Others are old members, cautiously returning to see if the transformation is real. And some are people who were rejected before, people who got NSF on their applications, who were told the course was fully booked, who heard every excuse except the honest one. Rosa handles each group with warmth and professionalism, her 3 decades of experience finally aligned with her values. She's not just a morning starter anymore. Jasmine has promoted her to Director of Member Relations, recognizing that the person who knows where all the bodies are buried is exactly who should oversee the resurrection. Late in the afternoon, Jasmine and Rosa sit in the renovated office that once belonged to Thomas. The walls that used to display photos of exclusively white, exclusively male board members now feature images of diverse golfers from throughout the sport's history: Lee Elder, Nancy Lopez, Tiger Woods, Lorena Ochoa. The message is clear: golf belongs to everyone who loves it. "I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop," Rosa admits. "For the backlash, the lawsuits, the members who refuse to accept the changes." "They'll come," Jasmine says calmly. "Change always meets resistance. But here's what they don't understand. I didn't buy Oakwood Hills on a whim or a revenge fantasy. I bought it as part of a larger strategy. We're going to make this place so successful, so profitable, so undeniably excellent that other clubs have no choice but to follow our lead." "How?" Rosa asks. "By proving that inclusion isn't just morally right, it's economically smart," Jasmine explains. "We've already seen membership applications quadruple, event bookings are up, corporate golf outings are reaching out because companies want to be associated with our values. Exclusion was limiting our market. Inclusion is expanding it." Rosa smiles. "Always thinking like a businesswoman." "I'm thinking like both," Jasmine corrects. "A businesswoman with a conscience. They're not mutually exclusive, though people often act like they are." A knock on the door interrupts them. It's a delivery, a letter addressed to Jasmine. She opens it to find a handwritten note from Kyle Brennan. The letter is long, rambling in places, but genuine. He writes about growing up entitled, about never questioning systems that benefited him, about the shock of consequences. He doesn't ask for forgiveness, just understanding. He includes photos from the community center where he started volunteering, teaching golf to kids who can't afford country club memberships. "He's actually doing it," Rosa says, reading over Jasmine's shoulder. "The program, the volunteer hours." "People can change," Jasmine says thoughtfully. "Sometimes they just need the right motivation. Kyle spent 28 years being rewarded for his prejudices. Now he's experiencing consequences. Whether he truly changes or just learns to hide his biases better, only time will tell." "Will you write the reference?" Rosa asks. Jasmine considers this. If he completes everything, yes. An honest reference that acknowledges both his failures and his efforts to grow. That's fair. As evening approaches and the last golfers finish their rounds, Jasmine and Rosa walk the course together. 2 women separated by a generation but united by their determination to make this place better. "You know what I realized?" Rosa says, as they stand on the 18th green, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of amber and rose. This whole time, I thought Oakwood Hills was the problem. But it wasn't the place. It was the people running it, the culture they created and protected. Exactly, Jasmine agrees. The course didn't discriminate. The clubhouse didn't turn people away. People did that. And now different people are here creating a different culture. Do you think it will last? Rosa asks. After you're gone, after I retire, will Oakwood Hills stay true to what we're building? That's up to us to ensure, Jasmine says. That's why I'm documenting everything, creating policies that can't be easily undone, building a culture strong enough to outlast any individual. This isn't about me or you. It's about creating something that transcends us. Rosa nods slowly. Little Jazzy really did grow up. No, Jasmine says with a smile. Little Jazzy is still here. She's the one who remembers what it felt like to be invisible, to be dismissed, to be told she didn't belong. I carry her with me every day. She's why I came back. She's why this matters. They stand in comfortable silence, watching the day fade into night. In the clubhouse behind them, laughter rings out. Not the hollow sound of exclusive privilege, but the full-throated joy of people being their authentic selves. Staff members who once walked on eggshells now move with confidence. Guests who once felt unwelcome now feel at home. What happens tomorrow? Rosa finally asks. Tomorrow? Jasmine's smile is warm. Tomorrow we keep building, keep improving, keep proving that excellence and inclusion aren't opposites, they're partners. And we keep the door open for everyone who loves this game, regardless of who they are or where they come from. Sounds like a lot of work, Rosa observes. The best work always is, Jasmine replies. But I didn't come this far to do the minimum. I came to create something that will last long after we're both gone, a place where the only thing that matters is your love of the game and your respect for others. As they walk back toward the clubhouse, Rosa says quietly, Thank you, Jazzy, for coming back, for not giving up on this place, even when it gave up on you. Jasmine stops, turning to face the older woman. Thank you for being the one person who spoke up when it mattered, for calling Thomas that morning, for choosing courage over comfort. You didn't have to do that. Yes, I did, Rosa says firmly. I should have done it years ago, but better late than never. They continue walking. Two women who have seen Oakwood Hills at its worst and are now committed to making it its best. Behind them, the course glows in the fading light. 18 holes of manicured perfection that now, finally, welcome everyone who wants to play. Autumn arrives in a blaze of color that makes Oakwood Hills look like a painting. Jasmine stands on the 18th green, watching the sunset paint the sky while groups of golfers finish their rounds. A beautiful mosaic of people who once would have been turned away. Marcus Johnson, now a regular at the course, waves as he finishes his round. In 6 months, his handicap has dropped significantly, but more importantly, his confidence has grown. He's already talking about studying business and hospitality in college, already seeing himself as someone who belongs in these spaces. Rosa approaches with a tablet. The quarterly board meeting is tomorrow. The financials are stronger than ever, membership up 300%, event bookings through the roof, and we've been nominated for 3 industry awards. Awards are nice, Jasmine says, but they're not the point. I know, Rosa replies. The point is Marcus breaking 80. The point is the Johnson family feeling welcome. The point is everyone who comes here now knowing they belong. A car pulls into the parking lot, and to Jasmine's surprise, Kyle Brennan emerges. He's dressed casually and he looks different, less arrogant, more humble. He sees them and hesitates, then walks over. Mrs. Carter, Mrs. Martinez, he says respectfully. I hope it's okay that I'm here. I completed the program, all 200 hours, both the education and the volunteer work. He holds out a folder. This is my completion certificate and a portfolio of what I learned. Jasmine takes the folder, studying him carefully. Why are you really here, Kyle? He swallows hard. To apologize. Really apologize, not just say words. I've spent 6 months working with kids from communities I used to. He trails off, shame coloring his face. Kids I would have judged the same way I judged you. And I've learned something. What's that? Rosa asks. That I was wrong about everything, Kyle says simply. Not just wrong in a technical sense, but wrong in a fundamental, shameful way. I used my position to hurt people, to make them feel small so I could feel big. And I'm sorry. Truly, deeply sorry. Jasmine and Rosa exchange glances. They've seen false apologies before, performances designed to get something. This feels different. What do you want, Kyle? Jasmine asks. Forgiveness? Your job back? Neither, he says, surprising them. I don't deserve either. I just wanted you to know that what you did, firing me, forcing me to confront my behavior, it changed my life. I'm working at Pine Creek Municipal now, the course I used to redirect people to. And I love it, because there, everyone actually is welcome. No codes, no standards, just people who want to play golf. He pauses, then adds, I also wanted to say thank you. You could have just fired me and been done with it. Instead, you gave me a chance to become better. Not many people would do that. Jasmine nods slowly. People can change, Kyle, but change requires more than just words. It requires actions, sustained over time. You're doing that work. Keep doing it. I will, he promises. And Mrs. Carter? One of the kids I'm teaching. His name is Devin. He's incredibly talented, but his family can't afford private lessons or club memberships. I was wondering if Oakwood Hills has any scholarship programs for kids like him. Jasmine and Rosa both smile. This question, this awareness, this desire to pay it forward, this is what real change looks like. As a matter of fact, Jasmine says, we just launched the Little Jazzy Scholarship Program. Full access to the course, professional instruction, equipment, everything. Have Devin's family contact Rosa. Kyle's eyes brighten. Really? That's incredible. Thank you. After he leaves, Rosa turns to Jasmine. Little Jazzy Scholarship Program? I was going to tell you tomorrow, Jasmine says with a grin. Part of the 6-month plan. Every kid who loves golf should have access to it, regardless of their family's income or connections. He really did change, Rosa observes, watching Kyle's car disappear down the road. Maybe, Jasmine says cautiously. Or maybe he learned to perform change better. Time will tell. But either way, he's doing good work now, and that matters. They walk back toward the clubhouse together, their friendship having deepened through the challenges of transformation. Inside, staff members are preparing for the evening, not just going through motions, but genuinely engaged in creating an excellent experience for everyone who walks through the door. Jasmine's phone buzzes with a message from her CFO. Final numbers are in. Most profitable quarter in Oakwood Hills history. They want to feature you in Forbes. She smiles, but it's not about the money or the recognition. It's about the young woman who checks in at the front desk, her hijab carefully pinned, receiving the same warm welcome as everyone else. It's about the elderly black man playing his first round at a fancy course, tears in his eyes as he stands on the first tee. It's about the lesbian couple planning their wedding reception in the clubhouse that once would have turned them away. Your turn, Jasmine whispers to the ghosts of her past, then louder to anyone listening. Your turn to decide. Will you cling to yesterday's prejudices or help build tomorrow's possibilities? The answer echoes in every laugh from the clubhouse, every cheer from young golfers, every swoosh of clubs wielded by hands that once would have been turned away. That evening, Jasmine sits in her modest apartment, the same one she's kept despite her wealth. On her desk sits the old surveillance photo from Kyle's undesirables file, her younger self, carrying someone else's bags, invisible and insignificant. She touches it gently, a benediction and a promise. No one will carry bags of shame here again. No one will be made to feel invisible. Outside, Atlanta sleeps, but change stays awake, spreading through communities like dawn breaking, inevitable, irreversible, and ultimately illuminating. Tomorrow, Oakwood Hills will welcome new members, host new tournaments, inspire new transformations. But tonight, it stands as proof that the arc of the moral universe bends toward justice, especially when someone grabs it with both hands and pulls. The girl who didn't belong grew up to own the whole course, and in the end, she gave it away, not to another owner, but to everyone who had ever been told they weren't welcome. That's not just a happy ending. It's a beginning that echoes across manicured lawns and into hearts that are finally, fully, free to play the game they love. And somewhere in the distance, carried on the same wind that rustles through Georgia pines and over pristine greens, comes the sound of barriers falling, of doors opening, of a new generation learning that the only handicap that matters is the one that measures how well you play, not where you come from. This is Jasmine Carter's legacy, not written in marble or bronze, but in the living, breathing reality of a place transformed from a monument to exclusion into a beacon of what's possible when we choose courage over comfort, justice over tradition, and love over the lazy hatred of discrimination. The course is open. The sun will rise. And everyone is welcome to play.